Cook hit superb 100 before Essex collapsed in dramatic fashion. Essex were well rested after a week off, coupled with a win against Notts in 2 and a bit days in their last time out. Kent, on the other hand, went the distance as they held on with 2 wickets remaining on the final day to claim a draw with Surrey at Beckenham in the last round. Essex and Nick Brown especially made a rapid start after being asked to bat against Kent, with 10 coming from the first over of the day bowled by Podmore. So Alistair Cook typically adopted a slightly more sedate approach at the other end as he played and missed Podmore several times before cutting him to the rope with his first 4 of the morning. Brown continued to act as the aggressor with another boundary off Podmore before Stevens got one to take the edge, with Robinson taking a diving catch behind the wicket. That dismissal stifled the run rate somewhat before Cook broke the shackles to pick up a 4 off Milnes and bring up 50. But Westley was soon gone as he flicked Milnes off his legs but could only pick out Stevens, who took a blinder to dismiss him for 12. That brought Dan Lawrence to the crease and he settled quickly, picking up 2 4s off Milnes, while Cook added a 3rd in the same over as Essex finished the session strongly to reach 92 for 2 with Cook 35 not out. Cook barely looked to score in the period after lunch as Lawrence began to catch him up with boundaries off Podmore and Stevens before both batsmen helped themselves to 4s from a Mulder over. Cook eventually brought up his 50 from 128 balls, showing all his trademark patience. Before the more aggressive Lawrence fell as he too approached his 50, Matt Milnes finding the top of off stump to strike with the first ball of a new spell. But Cook began to accelerate after he passed 50, bringing out his favourite shots to find the rope before sending Milnes to the boundary from consecutive balls as he moved into the 70s. And Bopara was proving an excellent foil as he picked up 3 4s off Podmore in quick succession as the tea break approached. The interval arrived with Essex in an excellent position at 197 for 3, with Cook looking like the key as he would resume after the break on 78 not out. Cook continued in habitual untroubled fashion as he picked up a boundary from Denley to move into the 90s, before helping himself to another 2 4s off consecutive deliveries from the leg spinner to reach a chanceless 65th first-class 100. Cook looked to accelerate his scoring after his century as he picked up more boundaries in moving to 120 quickly, and Bopara joined him as he found the rope twice in a Mulder over to move to 50. But as the partnership moved on past 125 with Essex looking in complete control, Cook was run out for 125, going for a second run to give Kent some hope. Bopara looked to continue regardless as he sent Stevens to the boundary twice in an over, before Tendulkar edged Podmore to slip for 12. And in the next over, Pepper took a wild swing at a ball from Stevens and edged to slip as Kent fought back. And they got the man they wanted when Stevens trapped Bopara LBW with the first ball of his next over, as Essex lost 4 wickets for 25 since the run-out of Alistair Cook. The collapse continued as Milnes had Siddle caught behind without adding to the score, before Stumps arrived soon after to spare Essex any further punishment, having dramatically slid to 303 for 8 after being 274 for 3 before Cook's run-out. Kent skittled out but narrowly avoid follow on. It was all about Sir Alistair Cook on day 1, with the former England captain making 125. But bar Bopara, his team crumbled around him, and Essex ended the day on 303 for 8, leaving Kent with their tails up going into day 2. And that collapse continued at the start of the morning session as Podmore took his 100th first-class wicket, trapping Porter LBW for a meagre single run. Harmer looked to steady the otherwise sinking ship, collecting 2 boundaries, first off Podmore and then one off Milnes. But the collapse was completed just 1 ball later. Harmer caught in front for just 10, and Essex were all out for 313, having been 275 for 3, just 38 runs scored for their last 7 wickets. That brought Kent openers Dixon and Crawley to the middle, a partnership that wasn't to last as Porter pitched one up and nicked the edge of Dixon, a nick that was gratefully caught in the slips. Essex, even after their collapse, now had the game's momentum and stifled the visitors' run scoring, Denley scoring the only runs of the first 8 overs off a boundary. and Denley had only scored 20 when he was removed, nicking one off Harmer, and keeper Pepper taking a sublime catch behind. A disappointing end to his first innings since his omission from the England World Cup squad. More hard batting followed for Kent, and opener Crawley had clawed his way to 15 off 67 balls when he edged to Papara at slip. His wicket brought about lunch, and Essex had successfully recovered from their lower order collapse to regain control of the match, with Kent on just 42 for 3 at the break. Kent needed Kun and Bell-Drummond to slow the game down, and the pair started the afternoon session in steady fashion, ticking the score over with fours against Harmer and Siddle. But it wasn't long before Essex had their fourth wicket, Siddle with an excellent in-swinger that Kun edged behind to Pepper. The new pair had only mustered another 19 runs when Bell-Drummond fell, Pepper again the man taking the catch, this time off the bowling of Sam Cook. Kent were seeking to get to the tea break without the loss of further wickets, and caution became the name of their game. Mulder could only muster one between the fifth wicket and tea, which Kent reached at 113 for 5 after an attritional end to the afternoon session. The visitors were looking to kick on after the break, but they couldn't make the start they wanted. The very first ball after the interval saw Robinson edge Jamie Porter behind for 22. Kent's steadfast batting form before the break was well and truly flipped on its head when Talisman Stevens went for a 10-ball duck off the bowling of Peter Siddle. And by the end of the next over, Kent were 8 down, Mulder's hard-fought innings finally coming to a close for 19. Things turned from bad to worse for Kent, Podmore edging Siddle to Pepper, who took his 5th catch of the day. With just one wicket remaining, Kent still needed 17 runs to avoid the follow-on. Milnes and Imran Qayyum were the tail-enders tasked with accumulating those runs, and even though Essex took a new ball, the pair crawled beyond the target with a 4 off Porter. Essex thought it was over when Qayyum played the ball onto his own stumps, but the shot wasn't powerful enough to break the bails. A few balls later, however, it was all over. Cook clean bowling Matt Milnes after a vital 23, and with that came stumps. Despite being skittled out in the morning, it became a good day for Essex as they bowled Kent out in 2.5 sessions for a meagre 182. Essex will be looking to pile on the runs on day 3 and put the tie well beyond the visitors. After collapsing in dramatic fashion late on the first day, Essex produced a fine bowling performance on day 2 to take control of the game at Chelmsford. They secured a lead of 131 on first innings, but it could have been even more, as a stand of 45 between Kent's last wicket pair took them beyond the follow-on mark. Kent had found run scoring difficult on day 2 and batting appeared little easier early on day 3, as Essex began their second innings in attritional fashion, but Cook and Brown were able to help the run rate by picking up a couple of boundaries each, as Essex moved to 28 without loss from the first 12 overs. Cook looked to be continuing his form from his first innings 125, as Essex went past 50, with the former England captain 35 not out and looking untroubled. Stevens was able to make the breakthrough for Kent soon after though, as he pinned Brown in front. Cook went on the attack in response, sending Qayyum to the rope twice in an over, with a Westley 4 sandwiched in between. Essex reached the interval 85 for 1 and leading by 216, with Cook 49 not out and eyeing up back-to-back hundreds in the afternoon session. Milne struck to remove Westley in the first over after lunch when he trapped him in front, before Cook moved to his 50 with a 4 off Mulder. And he was looking in imperious form as he picked up more boundaries off Mulder and Milnes as he was joined by Lawrence, who was able to pick up a couple of 4s of his own before he was drawn forward by Podmore and edged to Crawley at slip. And Podmore made it 2 from 2 balls as the same combination accounted for Papara for a golden duck. That wicket also brought a shower, but the players were back out 20 minutes later as Tendashkata went on the attack. But the ball after dispatching Denley for 6, he was gone when he was trapped on the crease by a googly. Cook sent Mulder to the fence in the next over to move to 90. But a second century of the match wasn't to be, as 3 balls later he was gone as he edged Mulder to slip. Tea arrived soon after, with Essex well placed with a lead of 312 and 4 wickets still in hand. And unfortunately, no more play was possible after tea, as the rain continued for the rest of the day. Harmer takes 8 to claim Essex win. Alistair Cook's 90 on day 3, coupled with his first innings century, looked to have put Essex in a match-winning position as they built a lead of 312 by tea. But rain meant there was no more play possible on day 3, leaving Essex with a decision as to how long to bat on for on day 4, before setting Kent a target. Simon Harmer helped himself to a pair of early boundaries as Essex looked to get a move on. But Pepper soon fell as he tried to heave the ball into the leg side, but was hit on the back leg by Milne. And the batsmen were called in by their skipper in just the next over, as Essex batted on for less than 20 minutes of the morning. That left Kent needing 338 to win, and Essex a minimum of 90 overs to get 10 wickets. The Kent openers were looking comfortable as they began their chase, with Dixon sending Porter to the boards from successive deliveries. Crawley picked up a couple of early boundaries of his own before the introduction of Harmer brought about the breakthrough for Essex as he trapped him in front. Joe Denley found the boundary early on, but Harmer accounted for him when he tempted him into a big shot and he could only pick out Brown in the deep. And in the next over, Siddle induced the edge from Dixon, with Harmer this time pouching the catch at slip. That left Essex in control as the lunch break arrived, with Kent 60 for 3, needing a further 278, or more likely to survive another 65 overs for a draw. Kun and Bell-Drummond acquitted themselves well in the early part of the afternoon session, with Harmer finally coming in for a bit of stick as they picked up a succession of boundaries. And Kun also helped himself to a pair of 4s off Porter as Kent moved past 100. But Harmer couldn't be kept quiet for long and he hit back, trapping Kun LBW after the South African neglected to play a shot. Bell-Drummond dug in to reach his 50 and sent Cook to the fence from consecutive deliveries in the following over. But Robinson didn't last long before Harmer had him caught by Bopara at leg slip. And 4 balls later, Mulder was also on his way as he nicked Cook behind for a duck to leave Essex 4 wickets from victory. Darren Stevens clubbed Harmer for a 4 and a 6 to end the session, but Kent would have another 30 overs to survive in the evening. Stevens picked up where he left off in the afternoon session as he flayed Harmer for another maximum to bring up the Kent 200. But Harmer hit back in his next over to complete his 5-wicket haul as one big shot too many saw Stevens caught at mid-wicket. And Kent was sliding towards defeat when 2 balls after crashing him for 6, Podmore also fell to Harmer. And when the end came, it came quickly, as Harmer struck twice more in the space of 5 balls to wrap up the win. First having Milnes caught by Bopara at leg slip, and then bowling Bell-Drummond to complete bowling figures of 8 for 98. A magnificent performance from the spinner to complete a win for his side by 113 runs, meaning Essex take 22 points from the contest and Kent just 3.